Hey there guys, what's up? Welcome back to UU Wednesday. This week, just like with OU Monday, we'll be looking at a guide, and this guide is to help you build a team to sweep through the competition. Now, as with with Monday's UU Monday, we'll be looking at win conditions in the underused format. Let's get right into it. So the first Pokemon I've got up for display here is Beedrill. Now, Beedrill became an absolute powerhouse force of destruction. I'm not kidding. We'll look at the Mega Evolution stats in just a second. But Mega Beedrill is a force to be reckoned with, and Beedrill's not quite used to this much attention. Always been fairly mediocre, it's now been skyrocketed to one of the best Pokemon you can put on your team. Let's jump over and show you Mega Beedrill's stats. So as you can see, the difference is pretty dramatic. We've actually lost some special attack, which I find to be pretty hilarious. But that speed and the attack, oh my goodness. What can outspeed Mega Beedrill? What can out-hit Mega Beedrill? Well, unfortunately, his defense does leave quite a bit to be desired. And the HP still isn't quite all there. But if we go to the Jolly Nature that we are currently running on our beloved Beedrill, and we put in the same stats we have on him, oh man, those numbers are high. 427 speed, 399 attack. And here's the kicker, adaptability. This Pokemon's same type attack bonus is increased from 1.5 to 2 times. So, all of Beedrill's poison and bug attacks now do twice as much damage. Let's jump back to Beedrill and I'll show you what we mean. So the set we run on Beedrill is actually really quite simple. First of all, with the EVs, there's nothing really too fancy you want to do with these. All the attack, all the speed. If you try to shore up anything else, you're just gonna fall a bit flat. But the attacks we run are kind of variable. You can put a number of things on this Beedrill and kind of have it work. The first and most important attack, I think, is Protect. Beedrill is slow. 75 is not great. You will very likely get picked off if you do not run the Protect in order to facilitate your Mega Evolution. But once you have that, and actually, Protect gets you around the first turn speed disadvantage. When you Mega Evolve, you don't immediately get the speed of the new Mega Evolution. So, you can get around Beedrill's speed with the Protect, and then you immediately have Mega Beedrill's speed, which is almost twice as much as this. My goodness. So the Protect is the mandatory move that you're just going to have. Poison Jab makes for the obligatory Poison type stab, because why wouldn't you run Poison in this metagame? It hits so much, it breaks through fairies, it's pretty good neutral, and it's just 80 base power coming off of adaptability is too strong. It's too strong. Your bug type move depends on what your team needs. Now the most optimal attack is U-turn, because this lets you form a Volt Turn core, it gives you your team momentum, you can do a lot with U-turn, especially with hit and run tactics, and it keeps Beedrill from getting hit too much. But if U-turn isn't really your thing, X-Scissor is okay. 80 base power coming off of adaptability, that hits pretty hard. But 9 times out of 10, you're definitely going to want to be running that U-turn. And the last move is really where we get our variable. Now, I run Drill Run personally, because without it, Beedrill really struggles to get around Steel types. Bug and Poison aren't exactly the best for hitting those. And Drill Run gives him a very powerful move, with a high critical hit ratio which never hurts, that lets him plow through any opposing Steel types. However, the other fun option you can use is Knockoff, because Dark types and Dark type attacks are more powerful than ever, and Knockoff is one of the best moves you can have. Being able to remove an opponent's item is a boon that Beedrill would die for. and with its defense it probably would. You can also kind of make a Pursuit set work. Beedrill will force a lot of switches, and if you're smart, you can time this Pursuit to take them out, but running the knockoff or the drill run is usually the better option. A couple things of note, you probably don't want to be running the Roost. With Roost, you leave yourself too open. You're going to take an attack. I mean, maybe you can predict this on the switch, but you're probably going to be hit. And with Beedrill's defenses, it's not worth recovering. If you get hit, you're going down, and roosting won't save you from the damage that you take. Use Beedrill as offensively and aggressively as possible, and he'll do the job for you. Next up we have Crocodile. Now Crocodile is much like the last video where we had Latios, a bit of an unconventional sweeper, but once he gets started, he's hard to stop. Now you do have to play this carefully, as this particular Crocodile runs a Choice Scarf. You can also run a Choice Band, but for the sake of safe sweeping, we'll be keeping the Choice Scarf onto our Crocodile. Now the crux of this set comes in the form of Moxie. Moxie is an ability that, once you've KO'd another Pokemon with Crocodile, he'll get an attack boost. So every time you make an opponent's Pokemon faint, Crocodile gets stronger, and that's big. Now you have to be careful when running the Earthquake. Earthquake is very powerful and it's a great stab type to have, but Pokemon with Levitate and Flying types will be able to take advantage of this. That's also why you run the you run the Stone Edge in order to get around those a bit, and then you have Knockoff and Pursuit to punish your opponent just a bit. All of this combined makes Crocodile a very potent offensive threat, but one you have to play very, very carefully with in order to make sure he doesn't end up getting walled. Moxie Knockoff is hard to stop once it gets started if you introduce it into the late game. Be careful about how you play Crocodile, and you can stop your opponent from safely switching, you can remove all of their items, and you can hit them hard with powerful physical attacks, all the while making your Crocodile even stronger. Play him smart and he'll win you games. Ampharos is a Pokemon with another powerful Mega Evolution. A fairly mediocre Pokemon made star-worthy. Ampharos brings a lot to the table and you can do a lot with it. We'll be focusing in this on Ampharos' sweeping power. Now let's jump over to Mega Ampharos so we can see what he gets upon Mega Evolving. So as you can see, that is a dramatic increase in special attack, and we actually lose a bit of speed. Mega Ampharos is slow. Mega Ampharos is very slow. And we'll actually be running a set to work around that. We'll be taking advantage of the powerful special attack offered by Mega Ampharos, in addition to its great bulk, in order to turn it into a wicked sweeper. Now first of all, the crux of this sweeping set is agility. Agility will double Ampharos' speed. Now, Mega Ampharos is not exactly the swiftest around, but with agility, you then gain the ability to turn that weakness into a pretty decent offensive momentum. What I mean by that is Ampharos is hard to take down. He's pretty bulky, and Electric Dragon offers a lot of opportunities to come in on something that you resist. Agility then lets you set up, and with Ampharos' pretty awesome stabs and a little coverage, you can blow through pretty much anything in your way. The EVs on this one, just like Crocodile and Beedrill, are pretty simple. 252 into our highest attack stat, and we want to shore up the speed because it's pretty necessary. The last four go into special defense because might as well just make that a little higher. Now, to explain the stabs, Thunderbolt, obligatory. And the reason you don't run anything else is because you're looking for reliability here. You could run Charge Beam, but Charge Beam only has a chance to increase your setup. Thunderbolt is just more reliable. and you'll want to be looking for KOs with this Ampharos in the late game, rather than trying to make yourself all-powerful. Discharge is another option, because the chance to paralyze is pretty decent, but you do get lowered power with this, so you have to take that with a grain of salt. Also, with agility, you'll probably be outspeeding most of what would counter you anyway, so the paralysis isn't entirely necessary. Thunder can be used if you happen to be running a rain team, but take that with a grain of salt. Don't use Thunder if you're not running rain. And last but not least, you don't use Volt Switch, because then you would lose the stats you just accrued. So it's just completely not worth it to even have Volt Switch on this Ampharos. Dragon Pulse is the easy choice. It's your Dragon-type stab, and it'll punch through pretty much anything that Thunderbolt and Focus Blast don't cover. Focus Blast is there mainly for Steel types. You'll need something to stop them from coming in and messing you up. And also Crocodile is a problem for this, because being immune to Thunderbolt and not really caring much about Dragon Pulse gives Ampharos just a bit of trouble. And Focus Blast lets you punch through Crocodile like it was nothing. All in all, you can expect great things out of your Mega Ampharos. It's powerful, it's bulky, and you can make it pretty fast. Play around it carefully, and bring it out in the late game, and it'll be nigh unstoppable. Here's one of my favorite Pokemon back with a vengeance. We have Chandelor, the Ghost and Fire type, and this is my all-time favorite set to run on it, the Sub-Calm Mind Chandelor. Now, what this set focuses on is using Substitute to create a wall your opponent has to get through. You then set up as many Calm Minds as you can, and with the amazing stab-type combination of Fire Blast and Shadow Ball, Fire and Ghost respectively, you destroy anything that tries to come in and stop you. Chandelor's special attack is some of the best out there. You'll be hard-pressed to find a Pokemon that hits harder than Chandelor, that isn't a Mega Evolution. We put some EVs into its HP because we'll need as much HP as possible in order to set up these substitutes. We don't want Chandelor accidentally taking too many hits or being brought down because it's weakening itself. We also make this Chandelor as fast as possible so that it can sweep easier. And we don't need as many points into the special attack. Chandelor hits pretty hard as it is. Putting a lot into the special attack is kind of redundant when we can shore up the other weaker stats to make the sweep just a bit easier. We'll also be running the Leftovers and Flash Fire. Leftovers giving us recovery in order to shore up our HP after substituting, and Flash Fire making Chandelor completely immune to Fire-type moves, and in fact, you'll actually get a boost to your Fire-type moves from it. So you can play around this with your team, lure out something that would use Fire, and then bring Chandelor in and start setting up. Chandelor is incredibly powerful, and you have to play carefully because of its many weaknesses, but when you do, and you bring this puppy out at its full strength, this purple candle's pretty much gonna blow through anything that stands in its way. The best way to beat it is with really fast revenge killers, and you'll probably want to be counting on Crobat for that, because it can get around substitutes. That's something to bear in mind when you build this team. Watch out for Crobat, and watch out for Noivern, because they can get around Substitute with their Infiltrator ability. But Chandelor's really not too afraid of that. Not once it's got a few Calm Minds up. The next Pokemon we bring to the table is one that is famous on my channel. Mega Absol. I love this Pokemon, it's done so much for me. Mega Absol is one of the most fun and powerful Pokemon I've ever played with. To see it in UU? Not surprising. Being a pretty frail dark type is not exactly a blessing, but it's here that it can do the greatest work that it can. Now, what makes Mega Absol so good? Let me jump over to its stats and we'll show you what I mean. Hello Darkness, my old friend. Mega Absol and its Magic Bounce. What Magic Bounce does is anything that isn't a direct attack, a a non-damaging move to be specific, or a status move, that'll get reflected back at the user. If you've played competitive Pokemon, you know that moves like Toxic, moves like Will-O-Wisp, moves like Leech Seed, these are all common plays and they're infuriating. Well, Mega Absol doesn't care about them in the slightest bit. Magic Bounce will reflect those back onto the user and leave Mega Absol completely unscathed. As if that wasn't enough, a boost to its already ludicrous attack stat, an actual boon to its special attack stat, letting Mega Absol run mixed sets, and an increase to its pitiful speed make Mega Absol a force to be reckoned with. Again, the EVs that we run on Absol are pretty basic. All into the attack, all into the speed, and with a little special defense in order to stop download Pokemon from taking advantage of your even attack or even defensive stats. We also run the Jolly nature so that we can go as fast as possible because, again, boosting that attack stat, it gets redundant after a while. But making Mega Absol faster certainly does not. So the set that we focus on with the win condition Mega Absol is Swords Dance. That'll double Mega Absol's attack, and it's the reason why we aren't running a full-out attacking nature. We don't need it. With Swords Dance, we'll be able to plow through pretty much anything once Absol gets its setup going. And then we have the Dark-type stabs that just make the game. First of all, Knockoff, like I was saying before, is just one of the most useful attacks to have anymore. Removing an opponent's item and doing lots of damage to them, it's an invaluable tool, and Mega Absol brings an awesome stab with it to the table. Don't underestimate how hard this hits. To compound this is Sucker Punch. If you use an attacking move against Absol, Sucker Punch is going to take you in the face and knock out a few teeth. With as hard as Absol hits, Psychic types and Ghost types have to beware if they want to go toe-to-toe with Absol. As before, Absol struggles with a few other types, namely looking at Steel, looking at other Dark types, and that's what we pack the superpower for. It's got perfect accuracy, it hits like a truck, and on the downside it does lower the attack and defense, but it can give you a reason to switch out of an unfavorable situation. Mega Absol is frail, but it hits hard, and it is fast, and it is unstatusable. It is awesome. I could go on about Mega Absol all day, but then we wouldn't have time for the last Pokemon. Play Mega Absol smart, and it will destroy your opponents. It might even make a few rage quit. Our last Pokemon is another favorite of mine. This is Suicune, and it is running a very patented Crocodile set. Suicune has been running this set since the day before time began, and it loves it. What exactly is Crocodile Suicune? Well, that's when you run Rest, Sleep Talk, and Calm Mind. What does all this add up to? Well, Suicune is incredibly bulky. 100 base HP and 115 base defense, 115 base special defense? My word, just look at how bulky this Suicune is. It can take hits for days. Even stab moves, super effective moves, fail to phase Suicune very much. The day that your Suicune gets one-shotted is probably the day you get swept anyway. On top of that, you can shore up the special defense by using Calm Mind. The strategy here is to bring in Suicune and just have it fire off as many scalds as possible. First of all, on top of inevitably burning something, you make use of Suicune's respectable special attack in order to tear through most of your opponents. You whittle them away in a war of attrition that they will inevitably lose, because you have Rest. So any status Suicune gets afflicted with, any HP that it's lost, it'll gain it all back and be put to sleep, which lets you use Sleep Talk. Now, while you do have the unfortunate chance of getting off a Rest, with 2 Sleep Talks, you can potentially get a Calm Mind, you can get a Scald. It's hard to stop Suicune once it gets started. You set up 2 Calm Minds and you are virtually unkillable at this point. You'll blow through anything that comes in and tries to stop you, and if you can't, just Calm Mind some more, because what are they gonna do? You're Suicune. Now, as a note, this Suicune does not like knockoff, and it can be vulnerable to forms of taunt. Also, hazing is a problem for Suicune, as is phasing. So if Suicune gets knocked off the board by Roar, or has haze used on it, you do lose a lot of progress. Play around Suicune's strengths and keep it healthy, or well rather, keep it from getting its stats taken away. And Suicune will barrel through pretty much any opposition. Its fantastic bulk, its powerful stab type in the form of water, and its ability to take hits for days and fire them back makes Suicune a top-tier sweeper in this UU metagame. As a side note, if you don't have a Pokemon on your team built to handle Suicune, you're going to lose. That has been this week's UU Wednesday. I have been Ragtter, and I hope you enjoyed my take on 6 win conditions that can help improve your team in Underused on Pokemon Showdown. Let me know how they go, and I'll see you on Friday for RU Friday. Can you guess what we might be doing then? Have a good one, guys. Happy battling, take care, and bye-bye!